Hello everybody. How are we doing? Welcome back to Lozy PC, and very significantly, welcome back to the Invictus play-by-email game of War in the Pacific. So, last time, big events taking place. We were hit really heavily at Rabaul by Invictus's carriers, which was, a really kind of good move by him. I didn't see it coming. I was unprepared. I've been rather, yes, I've been somewhat trying to make sure that I'm bringing some things along, like in some places, aircraft and Japanese Air Force companies, etc. But we weren't as on the ball, we weren't as prepared, and we weren't as protected. And we got had by it. We lost 2 heavy cruisers and a multitude of transport ships, which is not great. So, we need to bounce back. We need to make sure that we are kind of prepping and doing what we can. We have got some Mavises over in Rabaul now, so we will see how it goes on over there. Now, this is the A-15, which we saw last time got some supposed severe damage, but it still seems to be in the area. So when we have a look and when we have a chance, we'll see how that is actually getting on. But yeah, it seems to be doing not too bad, or at least, it isn't sunk completely just yet. So we'll have a look exactly to see what that is. Here is one of our ships trying to flee, unfortunately sinking. And here we have some allied ships. And this is a Dutch ship, the patrol craft Cerro Jabara. I can never pronounce that place. Which is kind of like an old, battleship, cruiser, protected cruiser from World War One, being used here to hit us. And we fire back some machine guns. But as we can see here, he manages to hit some of our ships that are in port that were already damaged from mines, manages to do some casualties, and yeah, not good for us. We lose 2 destroyers here, and 2 relatively, modern destroyers. So Invictus is getting some success at our kind of, how's the best way to describe it? Almost kind of recklessness, I think. I don't know if recklessness is necessarily the complete right term, but, along those lines, kind of, not being careful enough, which is not great. We run through that, we see our submarine takes 1 hit, but nothing too significant. Here we don't seem to be able to hit that ship hanging off of Miri. Here is a Dutch sub that gets really deep and does manage to hit one of our ships. But this is important. One of our submarines that we sent at the end of last turn to try its best to, see if they could follow or intercept the US carrier fleet, the RO-33 managed to hit the USS Saratoga with a torpedo. Now, we saw damage to engines, but we didn't see much else. But it's not likely that that is going to sink. That's not going to kill the Saratoga off. But we have already started to send a Kido Battalion down here. We want to keep an eye on where these carriers are. This is going to force Invictus's hand. Either he keeps his carriers all together and moving slow with the Saratoga, or he splits the Saratoga off, sends it to, say, Sydney and Melbourne, and then moves the rest of the US fleet wherever he needs to. Now, Sydney or Melbourne do have the capacity to repair the Saratoga, and even if it has taken, a large amount of damage from that torpedo, I don't think it's going to be enough to do enough damage to keep the Saratoga in port for months and months on end. I would say a month, maybe 2, depending on how lucky we got at most. And it might even be less than that. So if I was him, I know my move here would be to send the Saratoga back to, say, Sydney or Melbourne, get her repaired, send obviously a few destroyers and whatever, and get the rest of the carrier fleet out there. Don't allow it to be slowed down and caught by something else. But obviously, I'm not Invictus. I don't know what he's doing. You guys might know more if you were watching both series. Remember, go check out Invictus's views on the combat reports. Links down below. So yeah, you might know a little bit more of what's happening. Now, while I was talking, a lot of air raids were going on, and this is something that I'm a little bit kind of happy with. Is that Invictus has kind of been attacking us from the air in places like Borneo, etc., kind of without any worries, without any counterattacks. And we don't quite get all of them. Here he manages to hit our ships that were already damaged in Balikpapan. But before, over Miri, we did manage to get some Oscars to damage some of his bombers. So, at least we're not completely defenseless and being caught completely with our pants down as we move forward. So we'll take some minor victories when we can. So obviously we still are kind of down at the present moment with obviously what has happened at Rabaul, losing 2 heavy cruisers, but I think that actually getting some damage on the Saratoga, and I do hope that it is a decent amount of damage, is obviously really, really good for us. That's what we want. We want that damage. We want him to, be a little bit fearful. I know I would be, again, personal experience, I know I would be a little bit nervous if literally the day after I do this big raid, I suddenly get one of my carriers hit by a torpedo. It kind of makes you go, ooh, crap, I don't really want to risk these. Now, it depends on the type of player Invictus is. Okay. He's already showing himself to be quite bold, and it's clear he has some significant ideas about how to do stuff. For example, he left Manila, he's currently defending Clark Field. He's done this raid on Rabaul. Okay, so he's clearly got some ideas on ways to fight, ways to do the things he wants to do. Here we see some deliberate attacks just outside of Xinjiang, which goes pretty well for us, so that's always good. This one up by Tier 1, pretty chill, and this is an allied bombardment attack on us at Clark Field. So yeah, it's kind of dependent on how Invictus is playing. He might think that, well, I'm the USA, I'm going to get loads, well, the Allies, I'm going to get loads of carriers, I can lose one slightly early or whatever. Pretty rough for us here at Clark Field. Not horrendous, but rough. So it obviously depends on how he thinks, how he plans to do this. And yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on things. It's good to see, as I say, we managed to get some damage on him, not let him get away with the attacks on Rabaul scot-free. Whether or not we actually did enough is again a debate that we would have, but yeah, it's good to get some fight back. So we had an airfield expand in Manchuria. It was Mission, and I'm trying to find it here, and there we go. It's the one that I hovered over about 5 times. Airport capacity of 5. I'm not going to expand that anymore. There's no real need. Now, kind of checking what's going on in China. I want to keep up this deliberate attack near Xinjiang. There's no point really giving that up. Checking on how my brigades are doing. The 65th Brigade is still due to move in. We do now have more infantry at Clark Field. Still probably not enough. We do have troops moving up, so that's fine. Kind of keeping an eye on Miri, seeing what we're offloading, and seeing what we kind of have planned, because I'm not a fan of those subs kind of hanging around and causing us some problems. Hoping these sub chasers will do their job. At Balikpapan, looking at what we've got there, the situation in regards to things like the DMSs who are here to try and get rid of the mines we ran into. We also have our invasion of Tarakan on the way. We have the Ryu who is on their way as well, but I was wondering why they were taking some time and why they haven't moved just yet. It was confusing me. Looking around at other things, we have transport ships moving backwards and forwards, so most of those kind of things are all good. A naval guard unit that I'm going to send to follow up on that little Dutch unit, just to make sure that it doesn't kind of cause me any problems in the future. And elsewhere, I'm just kind of having a look to see what aircraft and things we have available. So I was like, oh, we have some Claudes here. Can we upgrade these? And I want to move these to kind of Davao or move these to Mandano to, again, kind of give us some more cover. But I can't seem to move it to Mandano, so that's kind of irritating. I do click here, but as you can see, it doesn't like it. So I have a look and I kind of go, okay, I'll move it to Ternate because at least Ternate is close. Let's put it on some long-range cap with some rest as well. So hopefully over the next turn or so, we'll be able to try and intercept those Hudsons with some Claudes. Not going to be great, but, you know, it's better than nothing, you know. Here we see a patrol boat that is basically fucked, that survived. And here is the carrier group. Now, it said there that this carrier group is moving westwards, which would suggest that it's moving towards, you know, Port Moresby, New Guinea, etc. Now, this is the RO-33. This is the one that got the hit off. I've just realised how badly damaged that is, so it might not make it back. I'm going to set, again, the RO-34 and all the other kind of submarines that I have available in this area, just to kind of patrol around to see where these are going. So, is it a case that it's going west towards Port Moresby, or is this a false report and maybe it's actually kind of going southwest towards Australia? We will see. So if they go that way, we'll be able to find her. Looking at this, you know, the tankers are there, 101 fighters, 150 bombers and auxiliary. This is a huge allied fleet that is present. Mental, honestly, absolutely mental. So the Mavis is flying from Caving were the ones that seem to notice those, and they still have quite a large view in the area, so I'm not too worried about what's going to go on there. Now, I did get some advice that the Kaga is much slower than the rest of our carriers, and she is, which is a bit of a shame. So what we're going to do is we're going to form a new TF, an air combat TF, and this is going to be the Kaga and the Akagi. We're going to send these kind of towards the Dutch East Indies. We are going to be careful with it, obviously, but we're going to kind of give ourselves a bit more of a presence over there to kind of counteract the ways in which we've kind of been getting hit by, you know, Invictus, and he's been kind of pulling stuff off. Now, the way I want them to go is I kind of want them to go via the south of the Philippines. Then they're going to do a kind of move through the Celebes Sea. Then I'm going to move them north, back round via Formosa, etc. I'll get them. I was debating whether I go to Cameron Bay. I realised you can't go to Saigon, but we will say Cameron Bay, and then they can loop back via Formosa. And at least this way, what this will do is it means that, again, if there is any ships kind of hanging around, being a nightmare, you know, in or near Balikpapan, destroyers, cruisers, whatever it is he's got, then hopefully the Akagi and Kaga will be able to find them and deal with them. You know, we have more carriers, we have good carriers, we should be using them and making sure that we get the most out of it. There we are just sending some cruisers to go join up with the Akagi and Kaga, and here we have, you know, quite a lot of ships. We've got the Hosho and the Zihu here, which are armed with pretty, you know, old aircraft. You can see obviously the Claudes, but we can upgrade those to zeros, so we're going to do that. So now that they have some A6M2 which is always nice, and we can resize them. I'm clicking the wrong button here. I meant to click the resize button, not the automatic or manual. Pardon me. So we're going to upsize these for the Hosho to, the Zihu to 15 each, because they can. That's how much room this has. We'll upgrade these Kates as well, because these are B5N1s to B5N2s. And we'll give these guys a couple of days to kind of recuperate. We're going to do this with the Hosho as well, with her aircraft. She can have 20, so not as many, but we'll do it again, 10 and 10. We're not going to give them genes, we'll give them proper Kates. Again, you know, we've got these aircraft, we are building plenty of them, let's try to use them, particularly for even just, you know, our light carriers or our escort carriers. If they meet a allied cruiser, you know, if we're giving them awful planes, they're not going to do a lot. If it meets with decent planes, you know, 10 Kates or 15 Kates or whatever, then it's going to do, you know, some serious damage, which is what we want to see. I was just having a look at this one and seeing that this also converts to a CBL eventually, and I'm clicking on the wrong button. Again, 30 aircraft, I'm happy with that. So yeah, just kind of seeing what we can get and what things move around. So our next kind of little movement is just making sure that all of our supplies are in the right place, our ships are doing what they need to do. We're going to check on Sama and make sure that stuff is not being weird. But most of this is all going to be done off screen. So I would like to thank everyone for joining us for this session. Do remember to like and subscribe, and as I say, make sure you go check out Invictus's channel too, for the other side of this conflict. But until next time, have a very, very good evening. I'll see you all soon. Bye.